What's up, YouTube? Once again, you're in the kitchen with Paul, and today we're gonna do some country style ribs in the oven. Little fun fact for you: country style ribs, so these meaty bad boys right here, aren't actually a rib. Country style rib is a pork shoulder blade. I don't know why they call them ribs, but we're gonna cook them today in the kitchen with Paul. Stay tuned. All right, YouTube, these are the country style ribs. You've never seen them before. I'm sure you've seen them before. If you take a rib out of the package, you see that? That's a country style rib. But it doesn't have a rib bone in it. It's cut from the shoulder blade right there. But because of all this marbleization and because of the fat that's on here, of course, fat means flavor. You're gonna get a lot of flavor out of these ribs. And with the bone in, it's gonna keep them moist. So the first thing we're gonna do is, of course, we gotta wash these bad boys. Sometimes you get them without a bone in them. See that? But they just happen to have bone in and bone out all in this package. You know, with the world the way it is today, you don't know what could be on your food. Of course, what I like to do, I like to take a little red wine vinegar, pour that in there. And that'll help take the impurities out of the meat. So these are the spices that we're using today. And of course, if you follow my channel, we're gonna go with the old tried and true triple play. Seasoned salt, granulated garlic, granulated onion. To that, we're gonna add some black pepper, some ground cumin, some smoked paprika. Smoked paprika because we wanna get that smoky flavor in there. And of course, we're gonna rub them down with some olive oil. One more thing to help us to get some smoky flavor in there: liquid smoke. So let's get started with our seasonings. We're gonna mix them all together. When you mix all your seasonings together, it becomes what they call a rub. And you're gonna do exactly what the name suggests. You're gonna rub it all over your meats. First, what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your olive oil and rub that over your meats, and that's gonna make it easier for your spices to adhere to your meat. It's gonna stick on there like glue, and that's what we want, so it can impart that flavor inside that meat. Okay, our ribs have been washed. They've been dried. You want to make sure you keep patting them dry because you don't want them to boil. You want them to actually cook. So we take our olive oil and we put the olive oil all over the ribs. I would say that's about 4 or 5 tablespoons. And then before you put the seasoning in there, you get your liquid smoke. You just dabble that in there. Not too much, because you don't want it to overpower. Then you start putting your seasoning in. And of course, you're gonna massage your seasoning all over your ribs. Be generous with your seasoning. It's a lot of meat. Pause. So you want to make sure that you get that flavor throughout each and every piece of that meat. Oh boy, I wish you could smell how good this smells in here. You want to preheat your oven to 300 degrees because you're not going to cook these fast. You're going to cook them slow. Try and get them all in one row, one level, so they're not on top of each other as much as you can. Yeah. Preheat your oven. Now, while your oven is preheating, what you're doing is you're allowing your ribs to sit and marinate in those spices. And it should take about 20-25 minutes for your ribs to marinate. The longer that you allow them to marinate, even better. If you can, let them marinate overnight, okay? Even if you want to do it for an hour or so. But today, we're kind of in a rush. So we're going to do it for about 25 minutes. By the time our oven heats up, we should be ready to put the ribs in there. We'll be back. All right, full disclosure. I forgot a couple of steps. That's what happens when you haven't been doing this in a while. So just to bring you up on what I did was two main things that I needed was I sprinkled a little bit of vinegar. I sprinkled a little bit of vinegar onto the meat, and that's going to help break down the fibers. And I said to myself, you need something for caramelization. In other words, to brown the meat up some. So I forgot my brown sugar. So I put the brown sugar in there, and I massaged everything back in there again. And now my oven has been preheated, and we're ready to go into the oven now. So we're going to cover this up, and we're going to cook this at 300 for about 2 hours, and then we'll come back. Also, YouTube, there was a lot of fat on those ribs, and what I did was I sheared off the fat with my trusty kitchen shears. I like these kitchen shears because when you open them up, you're allowed to separate them, so you can wash each blade separately, and then when it's all done, put them back together again, like so. Right into the oven. It's covered up. 300 degrees. We will be back. All right, YouTube. It's been 2 hours. Let's see what we got. All right, they're looking good. And what we want to do now is we want to drain off all of that water, and we want to cook them for another half hour with the top off so they can brown up on top. All right, YouTube, we've taken the ribs out of the oven. I was going to try and flip them over, but as you can see, the bone comes right out of them. As soon as I pick them up, they're gonna break apart. You see that? So we're gonna leave them just as they are. The true test of a rib is
to taste it while there's no sauce on it. Now it's at this point that if you wanted sauce, you would take the sauce and you would brush it on the ribs, put it back under the broiler for about 5 minutes to let the sauce adhere to the rib. But my wife doesn't like a whole lot of sauce on her ribs, and I don't like a whole lot of sauce on mine. Like I said, the true test is when you can eat the meat without any sauce on it, because it's just been flavored that well. All right, so that's how we do our ribs in the oven. And we're just gonna take a few shots of it, and I'm gonna try and get one out of there. Not breaking it up too much and seeing how it tastes. There you go, YouTube. That is the final product, the Coupe de Resistance. I'm going to try it to see if I like it. Here it is. Bam. In your face. Let me just show you how. Isn't that beautiful the way that breaks up? Fork tender, like that. You know I gotta give it a shot. Oh my goodness. So tender, so juicy. This is how you know that the meat was cooked nice and slow, because it just melts in your mouth. Fantastic. Just try it.
Oh my goodness, this is so tender. Wow. Wow. Delicious. The seasoning is incredible.
Do you need any sauce on it?
No, not at all. And look who's coming to join me. So I want a piece of my meat. So give me a piece of my meat. I can't eat nothing without him. You want to sit? So what is that, Mommy? Oh my goodness. Is that delicious? Wow. I ain't get no more of this. That's delicious. Wow. And I'm usually not a rib person. I don't need no sauce or nothing. This is falling off. Wow. Mm. You're not getting no more of this.
All right, YouTube. So that's it. There you have it. Our country style, oven baked, slow cooked ribs. If you like this video, please don't forget to subscribe to my channel. We've gotten a lot of subscribers lately since the pandemic hit, because nobody else is doing anything besides watching videos. But that's good for me. And as long as it's good for me, it's going to be good for you, because that means that I'm going to be making more videos. So, click that subscribe button. When the subscribe button is clicked, there's going to be a little bell that comes up on the side. If you click on that little bell, it's going to tell you every time that you're in the kitchen with Paul. So there's 3 things that I like to tell you before I end my videos. Number 1, always keep God first in your life. Number 2, love your family. And number 3, you gotta love yourself. You've been in the kitchen with Paul, me, I'm Paul. Peace, y'all.